And it's good to see all of you here today. Before I begin, I just want to give a disclaimer because in the beginning Aditya said that this is going to be a special satsang. So I just want to clear the fact that today is a special day because it's the moksha day of Sister Gyanamata, who was Yogananji's foremost woman disciple. She left her body today, and Yogananji said she found God, she found freedom, complete freedom when she passed on. But apart from that, the satsang itself, I don't think there's anything special about that. And so I just wanted to say that. Today the topic I've chosen is on attunement and service. At the end of this satsang, we'll have some special announcements. On Monday, our worldwide spiritual directors, Naya Swamis Jyotish and Devi, are coming. And so I just thought, it'll be nice to share on this topic of attunement and service and go a little deeper into that topic. So the verse that I've chosen for today is from the chapter The Field of Battle, from the Essence of the Bhagavad Gita by Paramahansa Yogananda ji. And this is verse 1325. Some men, ignorant of these three paths, that is, he's talking about meditation, knowledge, and service, heed the instructions of their guru, accepting what he teaches as their supreme refuge. They approach the truth worshipfully, and thus cross over the river of death. Few people understand the importance of the human guru. No scripture can fulfill this function. As my guru put it, you can argue with scripture and it won't answer you. But a living guru can set you straight on anything you misunderstand. What he mentioned above all, however, was the guru's subtle assistance inwardly, whether in the form of guidance or of needed inner strength and blessings. Many people misunderstand the role of the guru, imagining that he needs only to be a wise teacher, competent in spiritual matters, and familiar with the common pitfalls on the way. Paramahansa Yogananda said, the spiritual path is 25% the disciple's effort, 25% the guru's effort on his behalf, and 50% the grace of God. Because the guru is a channel for God himself, it may even be said without error that God, both in and through the guru, accounts for 75% of the disciple's spiritual journey. That's a very astounding statement and one worth meditating upon. And I want to start our satsang today with a story which talks about this principle of attunement that I just mentioned. The story is about a saint in India, in ancient India. His name was Sant Keshav Das. And he was a very highly advanced yogi, and he had the power, because, of his spiritual practices, of talking to nature, and he could speak to rocks and stones. So one day when he was, going, I don't know what city, but he was going towards a temple, which was a famous temple. And he was on the road, and when he started walking towards this temple, he saw some stones lying by the wayside. And he observed that those stones were of weird shapes. They were disfigured, they had some blows in them, just all sorts of shapes. So he stopped by and he asked those stones, well, what is your story? And the stone said, well, sir, when the masons came to build this temple that you see ahead, they came and they asked us, can we use you? And we said, okay, yes, you can use us. And we offered ourselves. But then when they started working on us with their tools and hammers and chisels, we rebelled and we said, enough, that's enough, just leave me back there. And so they left me by the wayside, and you see these strange marks on me. He said, well, okay. So he moved further on, and he comes to the entrance of the temple, and he sees these nice rock stone steps, leading up to the temple. And they were nice, and but before stepping on them, he stops and he says, well, what is your story? And the steps said, well, sir, when the masons came, we said, you may use us, make us into something useful. and the masons did their work, and they made us into these fine steps. And that was what we could do. And here you have these nice steps to the temple. And he said, oh, okay, that's nice. So then he went forward, and he saw just before the temple, the main sanctum, he saw this beautiful stone archway, with intricate designs on it and, of idols. And he said, well, what is your story? And the archway spoke to him and said, sir, well, when the masons came and they asked us, can we use you? We said, of course, make us into something beautiful. But, there, we stopped there, and, they used us and made us into these nice archways, and now people pass through us. And he said, well, very good, very nice. And then finally he went to the temple, and he saw the sanctum there, and there was a beautiful image, an idol, stone idol of the Lord, of Krishna. And he asked that stone idol, he said, well, what is your story? And that stone idol said, sir, when the masons came, I said, I offer myself completely to you. Do what you want with me, but please make me into a perfect image of my Lord. And that is such a beautiful story, and it just so beautifully refers to this path of attunement that I was just mentioning. That is the path that we as disciples, as seekers on the spiritual path must follow, all of us. And through our willingness, more and more, offering ourselves more and more completely, we reach that point where we can totally offer ourselves. And, Paramahansa Yogananda ji said often that he said, don't mistake the technique for the goal. And sometimes we do mistake the technique. In fact, to the degree that Patanjali said that one of the pitfalls on the yogic path is to completely miss the point. And that's a scary thought. He said, you come on the path and you completely miss the point. I certainly don't want to be in that boat ever. I can tell you that. But Yoganandaji, what he was saying was, to his close disciples, he placed the importance of attunement above everything else. He said, be in tune with me, even more than the technique. And what was he referring to? And if all these things are given to us, why is it that people miss the point? And there are two quotations, one of Yoganandaji and one of Krishna, which came to my mind and which got me thinking on this. Yoganandaji said in one of his talks, he is giving a talk, and all of a sudden, quite strongly he says, don't demand God to appear just because you have meditated 10 years. He said he will never appear. He said God has disappointed many, many saints who for incarnations meditated on him. And when I heard that, I didn't know what to make of it. I was like, okay, well, he's given these teachings, these techniques, then what is wrong? Where do we go wrong? And then Krishna, I was thinking of Krishna's statement when Krishna says, out of 1,000, one seeks me. And out of 1,000 who seek me, one truly knows me. And again, I thought, okay, out of 1,000, one seeks him. That's pretty clear. The spiritual path is not everyone's cup of tea. And so I can understand why, the sign-up sheet, if you see, I want to join the spiritual path, has very less names on it. But I thought, why is it that once those 1,000 seekers now have come, why is it that only one truly finds him? And again, both these statements of Yoganandaji and Krishna just led me to think that it has to be that even once one has come on the spiritual path, has had that desire, I want to find God, I want liberation, I want salvation, even then, unfortunately, there is a depressingly large possibility of failure. And why is that? And that is because that once we come on the path, you can say two paths open up to us. And there's a very subtle but very simple difference between them. The one path says, what can I take from God? And the other says, what can I offer to God? And therein lies the whole story of attunement. That both are good. It's not like one of those questions is wrong. But you see, and both hold the promise of God realization. But you see, one path will definitely take us there. And the other may take us there, or it may just leave us this short of the goal. And why is it that? Because you see, when we say, what do I want? I want God. the other person is saying, what does God want? And that is the path of attunement. When we say, what does God want? Even God wants to give us himself. But you see, there can be a sea of difference between how we want God and how God wants to give himself to us. And when we go in the direction, and I think all of us on the spiritual path have jumped in both those boats at some time or the other. And I think towards the end of our lives, towards the end of our time, as beings in delusion, we will keep going on that. And our goal is to keep moving to the other path. But when we say, what do I want? You see, we still have that ego with us. Because then that question, that guidance is colored by those likes and dislikes. What do I want? I want God. Oh, so to find God, I maybe just need to meditate, or I maybe just need to serve, or I maybe just this, that, and the other thing. And it's fuzzy, you see. But the path of attunement says, what does God want? You see, and if we are sincere and if we ask that question in that open way, then God will give us the right answer. If we have the fortune of having a true guru, then the guru will guide us and he will say, okay, offer up everything to me. You see, because in the end, it is not a matter of how much we can meditate. Meditation, service, these are tools. But if you don't pick up your spiritual path from the thread of attunement, then these tools can take you far, but you'll never reach the goal. And that's why Yoganandaji said, for incarnations, saints who have meditated, God has disappointed them. I mean, that's very scary actually, if you think of that. And so we want to pick up our spiritual lives from the thread of attunement. That what does God want? How can I offer myself up more completely to him? What does Guru want? What do you want me to do today? What is trying to happen in this situation? Asking those kind of questions rather than saying, what do I want? Because our view is very limited. And then I want to talk about service. You see, that is so central to our path. And I want to talk about attunement through service. And when we talk about service, many of us know about seva, why we serve. But it's very important to know the deepest truth of why we serve. And then I'll also say, some of the things that when we try to serve, when we want to serve, what are the impediments that come in our way and how we overcome them. But we serve truly to overcome our ego. When we say, how can I serve? When we ask our Guru, when we ask our Guru Bhais, whoever, when we say, how can I serve? What we are really saying is, how can I open myself up so that the Guru can reach me? And he can deal, you can say, he can soften the shell of my ego. You see, when we don't serve, or if we run away from service, really what we are saying is that I don't want any demands to be made on my ego. I'm fine as I am, and I am here, and that's fine. But when we say, I want to serve, we are telling the Guru, okay, I have these likes and dislikes, but through this service, I know you can reach me. And you can touch me and you can change me. You see, because when we think of service, sometimes we get into the details that, oh, service means giving my time to the Guru, or giving money to the Guru, or why is he asking me of that, or why is he asking me of that? And if we really think about it, Master Yoganandaji, any true saint, does not need those things. Does Yoganandaji need my time in his work? Does he need my money? Does he need any of our anything? He doesn't. He's free in bliss. But you see, what he wants truly is our ego, because he knows that as long as we cling to the ego, we are going to suffer. But the trouble is, he can't, it's not like he can come in and say, I've got your ego. It doesn't work like that, unfortunately. So what he does is, he has this bag of tools and tricks. And what he does is, the things that our ego clings most to, he says, you give me that. Oh, you think this is your money? Just give me that. Not because he needs it, but because by offering, giving him the opportunity, okay, Guruji, I know I'm attached to this. He says, give me that. So we offer it to him and he takes that away. And to that degree, then we become free. And then he says, oh, serve my work. And then we say, we have our likes and dislikes, but if we can say, oh, okay, let me serve, let me give my time, then to that degree, we have overcome that dislike. Then the other thing, this, that, and the other thing. And that is why Yoganandaji said, he said to be in tune with me, serve my work. And that's a very central teaching. And that can mean many things, to be in tune with me, serve my work. But one of the interpretations, which I think is that why did he not say to be in tune with me, just serve? And he said, serve my work, which is to say he's giving a distinction. Because, in our own lives, all of us have responsibilities. We have family responsibilities, we have business responsibilities, we have children, we have a family to raise. And that is service too. It can be service if we see it in that light. But you see, that is a compulsion in one way placed upon us by our karma, by our dharma, and we have to do that. We don't have any other choice. And so we are our own boss when it comes to those responsibilities. We do it how we want to, there's nobody to tell us. So that is why the Guru says, well, that is fine. But he says, to be in tune with me, serve my work. Come over on this side now. Expand your horizon, you see. And that is why he's saying that now you give me the opportunity to work on your likes and dislikes, which sometimes we have this false notion, oh, I am nothing, what can I give the Guru? I am nothing, I have nothing. How can I give a class? How can I give a satsang? How can I do this thing? I'm nothing. And it's true, we are nothing. And that's the whole, drama. We are nothing. Or you go to the other extreme and you say, well, my nature is such that I don't really need to serve. I just feel, let me just sit in the back and I'll do my little work, my projects, and, let me stay home, meditate, and I'll bless people and I'll pray for them. And that's my service, you see. But really, I think most often, that is just a disguise of the ego. The ego is just telling you, stay at home. Or whatever it might be, that you are not even, you stay at home, you stay away from service, you're staying away from, you can say, the firing range of the Guru. He can't get to you if you run away, you see. So service, the goal really of service is to open ourselves up. When we can open ourselves up, and we say to the Guru, I am here, I am open, I don't care what I like or don't dislike, use me as your instrument. Then we start moving on towards that path of attunement. Yoganandaji said one more beautiful thing, and these are very, very deep statements which can be meditated upon for years. But somehow, these just slip out of our mind. He said the channel is blessed by what flows through it. And it's interesting, he didn't say by what flows to it. You see? And sometimes if you just meditate on that statement, if you're in error, you'll see it. If you're seeing all the blessings flowing to you and you're not sharing them, you know that this is not what Yoganandaji taught. He said the channel is blessed by what flows through it. You see? And Swami Kriyananda said that in the beginning of his own journey in this life, he said, I used to care more mainly about my own progress. And he used to pray to God in the way, God, come to me so that I can give myself to others. But he said, I found much more freedom, much more progress in the thought of saying, God, come to me. Let me first give myself away. And you can keep coming to me. There's a prayer in Whispers from Eternity where Yoganandaji writes, give me health, but give my brothers more. And it's just astounding how far they want our horizons to expand, because the ego always wants to contract. And Swami Kriyananda says, inspiration comes when we are in motion. And it's a very startling statement. And that clearly says that on the spiritual path, you're either expanding or you're contracting. There's no middle ground. There's no standing still. So we have to constantly ask ourselves every day, am I expanding? If I'm not expanding, if the answer is no, you can be sure we are contracting. You see, expanding our sympathies, our love, and our prayers, So if we approach it from that way, then again, we are walking that path of attunement. And finally, I want to, and then when we come on this path, and we want to be in tune. We often use this term, help me be in tune. What does that mean? Like I said in the beginning, to always, constantly, every day, moment by moment, just repeat that prayer. What do you want me to do? How can I offer myself up more to you? What is trying to happen in this situation? Not what I want. And I've suffered so much grief by asking that question in life, what do I want? You walk into a meeting, and you say, what do I want? You're cooked. because there'll be arguments when you're not willing to step back. You walk into, there is a family situation for children, whatever it might be. As long as you're asking that question, what do I want? The game is over right there. But when you can step back and say, what do you want? Do you want me to concede this point? I will do that. Am I wrong in this situation? I accept it. Because we have to accept that we are infallible. We are infallible? We can always make errors. We can even till the point that we reach God. You see, so we have to accept that. And so to always ask that questions. And also now that, Yoganandaji is not in the body, our gurus are not in the body, does that mean that now we can't be in tune with them perfectly? Sister Gyanamata, who found liberation in that life, her attunement was so deep that when Yoganandaji would be in a different city lecturing, she would know what he was talking about. And when he would come back to the ashram to Mount Washington and they would meet, she said, "Sir, that was a very nice lecture. I especially like those points you mentioned about X, Y, and Z." And I heard that and I was like, whoa, what is this game going on here? But that is perfect attunement. When we can always just step back and say, flow through me. I am nothing, I do not matter, but you flow through me, talk through me, serve through me, meditate through me, and then there is no question of God disappointing us, because then, that goal, we don't even care about it. You see, whether we will find God, what about my liberation, what about my salvation? We've put those things aside. And Yogananda ji said that see through everything, God doing everything through you. And that's a very beautiful practice, very practical and very deep to be always doing that. So that was very briefly about attunement and service. And I want to make my pitch now, because after having spoken about that, we are having, like I said, Naya Swami's Jyotishan Devi ji coming this on Monday, and we have various programs lined up for them, a lot of seva opportunities, a lot of chances for us to give up our ego, our likes and dislikes. And if we are willing, if we are open, I'd like to invite Dr. Aditya now to come and share with us some ways we can serve and expand our sympathies to all. Thank you.
Let's do an arati first, and we'll move to that. Why don't you do the arati? Good. Do the chant. Let's all stand up and join in arati, Jayji. That's
I did.